Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be replacing a chain drive gear and sprocket on a Chamberlain garage door opener. This is the second one I've done this several years ago. You probably saw the first video if you've been subscribed for that long. So I ordered the kit because the price was very little difference. Not worth taking it all apart when it was so cheap. If I recall, it was under $20 for this. Okay, so like I always do, I'm going to follow the instructions from the manufacturer. And the first thing, of course, makes sense, is disconnect the power to the opener. So, yes, anybody can do that. Okay, number two, you want to disengage the outer trolley by pulling the emergency release rope. Okay, that's this thing right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull that. And next thing, manually pull the garage door to a closed position. Okay. Okay, next thing is up on top of the motor. You're going to remove the sprocket cover, which is this thing right here. It just pulls up. Okay, next thing you'll need to do is to relax the chain or belt. In this case, of course, it's a chain. By loosening the outer nut on the trolley. Okay, that's over there. We're going to go there next. Okay, for this specific model is a 1/2 inch. What you will need, and what I also did is I measured right here, okay, the distance from the nut to the end of the bolt, and it's 1 3/8. So I'm going to write that down. It'll probably save me some time on adjustments later. Okay, so I did that with the 1/2 inch wrench and just loosened up the nut there, turning it like this. Okay, lefty righty, right, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Okay, only had a little bit before you'll see your chain getting loose. That should be enough room to pull it out of the gear on the other end. Okay, so by relaxing the chain, what you just did, it should give you enough room where you can now release it from the sprocket here. So I would recommend with gloves, unless you don't care about getting it full of grease, just grab the chain and you're going to pull on it a little bit and it's going to release it from right here. Okay, to remove the chain from the sprocket, I found out that it's better to release that nut that I previously showed you all the way to the end of the bolt. You will need a lot more slack on the chain to be able to remove it here. Next step is going to be to manually slide the inner trolley to the closed position until it engages with the outer trolley. Next thing you want to do is either with some strong tape or string, something, you want to go ahead and attach the chain to the rail so that it doesn't fall off. I chose good old duct tape. Okay, the next step, I can't show you here because I don't have it. This is 22 years old. I don't know if you still do, but it's going to be to remove the cover, the light lenses, and both end panels. Okay, so I don't have the cover here that used to be here. The light I already took out, and the next thing is you're going to remove the screws here and on the other side. Okay, for this model, it happened to be a 1/4 inch, so it's really easy with this tool here, 1/4 inch. The only thing you're going to notice, these are metal screws, and these in the bottom are not, are plastic. So 2 different types of screws. I always like to do, if possible, put them back by hand. That way you don't lose them. When they fall down on the floor, etc. So there we see what we're changing right there, and the reason why. This happened to the other garage door also just years earlier. Okay, even though the instructions didn't say it, I found it a lot easier after removing both ends to also remove these two screws on each side, okay, and then just remove this. So now you have all around a lot easier to work on. Okay, next is saying to identify the type of garage door opener that you have. On the instructions, there's type 1 and type 2. Based on the drawings, I have type 1. So from here on, it's based on type 1. And hopefully if this focuses, you should be able to see on the top is how you tell if it's type 1, and on the bottom is type 2. Okay, now to disassemble this one here, it's showing that the next thing you want to do is this, they call it a retainer clip, to go ahead and remove that. You're just going to gently pull that out. If you have it, you look at it all around, you're going to be able to see it's easy. Don't know why this is not focusing perfect. Okay, I'm sure the kit brings it, but again, there's what we're removing. You just open up these two little arms there on the plastic and it'll pull back. Right after you remove that, the drive gear should be able to pull out easily. It just slides down. Okay, next thing you're going to do is remove the limit switch assembly by squeezing the sides just below the motor bracket near the drive gear. So the drive gear, so right here, you're going to push in, and the same thing on the other side. You're going to do this, and it's going to come down. Okay, the next step is going to be to unplug the wire harness from the RPM sensor and remove the RPM sensor. Okay, so right here, just pulls, let me show you here, really easy, straight out. Okay, here's what you're working with on the RPM sensor. And in the back, you're going to see like this. Why won't this focus? You're going to see those two little brackets, how they are. It's plastic, so be very careful. Squeeze the outer legs in first, of course. There we go. This right here, pull this back. It should move a little bit, and then squeeze both of these to take it off. Okay, next is saying those three wires, red, white, and blue, to disconnect them. Okay, of course, before you disconnect that red, white, and blue wires, you want to either take a picture, what usually works best, or do a quick little schematic so you put them back exactly where they were. Okay, the next step is going to be to remove the 4 screws that are fastening the motor bracket to the chassis. Of course, you're going to support the motor before removing the final screw, and then you're going to place the motor bracket assembly aside. And here's one of the 4 we're talking about. You can see there another, and of course 2 more on the other side. Okay, so how you're going to remove this here, if you turn it, okay, you're going to see, oops, what to see here, hard to do. Okay, you have two of these, 1/8, okay, 1/8 Allen wrench, oops. Okay, so you're going to unscrew those after you remove this, okay, and you're going to turn this, remove one, turn it a little more, remove the other, and then this should pull out. This one was a little tough. You can see probably because of the heat and of course 22 years, the grease was kind of tight, so it just lightly tapped it right here, the shaft, and of course it loosened up, and now I can pull it out. Just make sure when you pull it out, keep it in order, you know, lay it somewhere like this where you know in the order, so it'll go back exactly the way it's supposed to. Here's what you should have in that order. Well, I should have known this with that black sticky grease. Seen that before in the past. It was really stuck on there. Okay, and trying to remove it, I broke it. So hopefully it brings one, or I'll have to wait and order one. Okay, the next step is going to be to remove the motor from the bracket. That's easily done by removing these 5/16 nuts. Next step is you're going to remove the worm gear from the motor shaft and replace with the new one by fitting it in the slot in the worm gear over the roll pin on the shaft. Okay, right there and right there. I would